Which Super Mario 64 worlds can you beat in reverse star order, beginning with the last star and ending with the first? Every painting world has 7 power stars, 6 listed in order on the star select screen, and an additional one for collecting 100 coins, which for this challenge, we'll consider star 7. From a fresh file, I jumped into each world and got as many stars as I could backwards to answer 2 questions. Which painting worlds can you grab all 7 stars in reverse, and can you reach the end of the game while doing so? As for rules, I always selected the first star when I entered a level to avoid any weird loopholes when choosing a star after I collected it. I allowed myself to come back to a world if I needed to get one of the caps, just so long as I kept going in reverse when I returned. I also didn't get any secret stars unless absolutely necessary. I wanted to see how far I could get while just tackling the painting worlds. After starting the game and failing Lakitu Skip, I marched right into the castle. Bob-omb Battlefield is up first, and already there's a bit of a problem. There are plenty of coins, but a lot of them are in the air to grab with the wing cap. In order to get them, I had to get to the floating island, and because King Bob-omb was still there, the cannons weren't available. Instead, I had to long jump in the right spot on top of the mountain to just barely reach it. I then grabbed 100 coins without either a cap or a cannon, but I made sure to save some other coins for last to avoid spawning the star way high in the sky. From here, I went back down to get behind Chain Chomp's gate, but I have to leave it there for now since I need the wing cap to do anything else. On to Whomp's Fortress, and the 100 coin mission here is no problem, there are plenty, but star 6 is blast away the wall, which I can't get the normal way because the pink Bob-omb doesn't spawn to open the cannon. So I have to do a trick called Cannonless, where you fall in the right spot to clip into the wall to grab the star. No rest for the weary, because next up is fall onto the caged island, which usually requires the owl, but he won't show up unless you beat stars 1 through 4. So I had to do another speedrunning trick called Owlless, where you jump into the cage with a precise wall kick. And unlike Cannonless, this is not free. It isn't hard once you practice it, but I've only tried this a few times before making this video, and even when I was routing this challenge out, I only managed to land it once. Then when it came to the recorded run, it took me a damn while, but eventually, I did it. Thankfully, the next 2 stars are easy peasy. Red coins on the floating isle just requires a simple long jump to reach the floating platform since the beam you normally kick down isn't there, and shoot into the wild blue can be grabbed cannonless with an angled wall kick. However, to the top of the fortress is impossible because King Whomp hasn't, been turned into the fortress yet, and in this run, he never will be. Jolly Roger Bay is next, and this level infamously only has 104 coins in it, which means I needed at least 6 red coins to get the 100 coin star. 5 of them are just out in the open, and I got coin number 6 with a big jump off the docks here. So 100 coins is checked off, but that's all I could do since star 6 doesn't exist with the ship in the way, and it only moves when you grab star 1. Getting only 1 power star hurt pretty bad because I was already stretched pretty thin as it was, but I pressed on. Cool Mountain also has plenty of coins, so the 100 coin star isn't a big deal, and Wall Kicks Will Work is free for the taking as long as you can get there. Now, I did later confirm that the pink Bob-omb is there from the start, so you can open the cannon to go the normal route, but I decided to skip that entirely and just fall down there because it looks cooler. Either way, I can't get Snowman's Lost His Head because the snowball won't spawn, so we are done here. With 10 stars in my possession, the wing cap stage is available, so I hit that switch and headed back to Bob-omb Battlefield to see how many more stars I could get. Which, as it turns out, is 0. Mario Wings to the Sky is designed for the wing cap and the cannon, and I had the former, but not the latter. Now, iWearSanj uploaded a video demonstrating that doing this star cannonless is possible by building up speed using the wing cap, but that was a tool-assisted demonstration, so whether it's feasible by human hands, I'm not sure. I confess that I couldn't do this myself, so I'm calling Bob-omb Battlefield here. If you can get star 5, you could also get Find the 8 red coins and shoot to the island in the sky, but not foot race with Koopa the Quick because he won't show up until King Bob-omb is defeated. I'm sure this is possible for some of you watching this, so feel free to try it yourself. Thankfully, I already had enough stars to beat Bowser in the Dark World, although not enough to unlock Big Boo's Haunt just yet, so it's off to the basement. I took a brief detour to get the Vanish and Metal Cap since I'll need both later on, and then it's time to knock out Hazy Maze Cave. Gathering 100 coins is annoying as always, but possible, and then Watch for Rolling Rocks is just out in the open for you to get. Actually, most of these stars are. Amazing Emergency Exit is free, Navigating the Toxic Maze is free, and Metalhead Mario Can Move is free so long as you get the Metal Cap first. Elevate for 8 red coins is confined to one room, which makes it also pretty easy, and once I finished up by meeting Dory for Swimming Beast in the Cavern, Hazy Maze Cave became the first world beatable entirely in reverse. That pattern continued through most of the basement actually. Lethal Lava Land has plenty of coins both in and out of the volcano, and then I headed inside for the elevator tour. Then back in there for hot-footed into the volcano, red hot log rolling, an 8 coin puzzle with 15 pieces, aka the easiest red coin mission ever. Then I bullied the bullies real quick and boiled the big bully to clear Lethal Lava Land too. And Shifting Sand Land was no different. 100 coins was easy once I entered the pyramid, which I needed to do anyway to solve the pyramid puzzle. Outside, I grabbed Free Flying for 8 red coins, then went back into the pyramid to beat IROC once I stood tall on the 4 pillars. Thankfully, those pillars still open up the secret entrance even when you choose the first star, which is handy for inside the ancient pyramid, so I can do a sneaky shortcut. Then I scaled outside for shining atop the pyramid, and then jumped into the talons of the big bird, and world number 8 is done and dusted. Then we have Dire Docks, and there's good news, bad news, and worse news. The good news is I had 31 stars by this point, so I could enter the 30-star door no problem. The bad news is I had to grab 100 coins without the pole since they don't spawn if Bowser's sub is there. Which is doable, but man is it annoying. 2 tight long jumps to get the necessary blue coins and some triple jump dive combos to grab some of the red coins. It was pretty brutal. Once I got that, I then grabbed Collect the Caps for star 6, but now comes the worst news. Star 5 is the Manta Ray's reward, but the Manta Ray in question doesn't appear until Bowser's sub is gone, which only happens when you collect star 1, board Bowser's sub, which I can't do yet under the rules of this challenge. And that's a problem because collecting board Bowser's sub is also how you unlock Bowser in the Fire Sea. Without access to Bowser's second fight, I can't get the key to the second floor, so was I stuck? Well, technically yes, but you can employ another speedrunning trick to bypass this completely: side backwards long jump. Basically, you use this staircase and a backwards long jump to build up enough momentum to clip into the 30-star door room and pass the Dire Docks entrance, letting you get into Bowser 2 early. It's used in 0-star and 1-star runs, and it's considered one of the hardest tricks, if not the hardest, in the entire game for a speedrunning beginner like me. Not only are the setup and required inputs precise, but without the practice that comes from running this game for a long time, you could try this for days and not even get close. Not to mention the degree of luck needed to not stop too early or hit the Dire Docks trigger. But it is the only way I know of to proceed with this challenge, and unless I'm unaware of something, that also makes this run only possible on the original N64 release and not on 3D All-Stars, the Switch Online port, or any other release based on the Shindo version. Now, I am not the kind of person to try SBLJ for hours on end just for the sake of a dumb video. Considering how much I struggle to get Owlless, this is surely out of my ability as a player. Besides, what would it prove? People have known about SBLJ for years, this isn't new knowledge, and it has been demonstrated over and over again. Just so this video doesn't end here though, I went in and grabbed board Bowser's sub and then took Bowser down. I won't count the star for the official tally, and if you're following the in-game star count, just reduce it by 1. Anyway, before I headed up to the second floor, I went out to the courtyard to tackle Big Boo's haunt. The only trick needed to grab 100 coins is a way to get up to the second floor of the mansion, which I did with a wall kick here. Once I collected that star, it was then a simple matter of going eye to eye in the secret room, easily in my grasp since the Vanish Cap was activated earlier. Even though I haven't tackled Big Boo's first fight yet, he is still up on the balcony, so I got star 5 as usual. Then I grabbed Seek the 8 red coins by employing the same wall kick to the top floor, and then once again to discover the secret of the haunted books. However, the Boos wouldn't show up in the merry-go-round, so that's where Big Boo's haunt must stop. Time to head further up the castle, starting with Snowman's Land. I got 100 coins easily by clearing out the main area, then heading into the igloo, and that works out perfectly since Into the Igloo is the 6th star and was ripe for the taking. Shell Shreddin' for red coins is next, then Whirl from the Freezing Pond, In the Deep Freeze, Chill with the Bully, and finally Snowman's Big Head, all of which were not an issue since they're basically out in the open, so Snowman's Land is fully clearable. The only concern with World 11, Wet Dry World, is getting into the underground town, and thankfully, the Pink Bomb is always there to open the cannon up. So I got 100 coins without even going to downtown, but that is where Quick Race Through Downtown is found, so bada bing. And then I headed back for Go to Town for red coins to, well, go to town for red coins. Back in the main section, I got Express Elevator Hurry Up, Secrets in the Shallows and Sky, Top of the Town, and of course, Shocking Arrow Lifts, meaning Wet Dry World is another 7-star world. Now, Tall Tall Mountain has plenty of coins, and if you're like me, you stupidly get the last ones on the slide, so you have to do some major deceleration to grab this one. But it's possible, and thankfully I didn't have to reset once I grabbed the slide since you can just jump down from the star platform without grabbing star 4. And I talked to the Pink Bomb on the way up to open the cannon for Blast to the Lonely Mushroom, then climbed the mountain to check out the breathtaking view from the bridge. I already mentioned the slide, and now we can grab star 4, then get all the red coins for Scary Shroom's red coins. But the monkey and the cage star needed for Mystery of the Monkey Cage won't spawn until you collect star 1, meaning we're done with the mountain. For Tiny Huge Island, can you guess what happens first? That's right, I grabbed 100 coins. On the Huge Island, I drained Wiggler's boss arena to fight him for Make Wiggler Squirm, and then entered the cave underneath to grab all his red coins. Then on the Tiny Island, I went and found 5 itty bitty secrets to get star 4, but once again Koopa the Quick doesn't show up unless you choose his star on the menu select, meaning we can't get star 3. By this point I had 61 power stars, which is more than enough to enter the mezzanine, and wouldn't you know it, our final 2 worlds are entirely free for plundering. Because almost all of Tick-Tock Clock's stars are just out in the open, this one is very possible to grab in reverse, but there is one major drawback. Star 6 is stop time for red coins, and for that, you normally have to, stop time. I tried to do that and get 100 coins in one swoop, which meant climbing most of the clock tower with the platform staying still. And I only grabbed about 80 coins before I needed to do this kinda wonky wall kick dive to get past the halfway mark. Yet, while it's a bit tricky, I got 100 coins, headed back down for star 6, then got the place moving again for time jumps on moving bars, scaled the world again to stomp on the thwomp, and then got a hand, braved the pit and the pendulums, and finally rolled into the cage to knock Tick-Tock Clock off its block. Finally, we have to get 100 coins in Rainbow Ride, and it does have plenty of them, but I didn't get a lot of blue coins, so I had to go up to the big house to get enough money. Evidently there is a warp up here to take you directly to the maze, but I didn't know about it, so I long jumped back down instead. I mean, 6 of 1, right? Anyway, in the middle of my coin collecting journey, I also talked to the Pink Bomb to open the cannon on the ship, which I needed to fly somewhere over the rainbow. Down in the lower sections, I grabbed tricky triangles and Swingin' in the Breeze, which are just some platforming challenges away, and then went back to the maze to grab the coins amassed in a maze. And after another trip to the big house in the sky and a journey to the cruiser crossing the rainbow, that's the final world completed in reverse. Our final star count is 75 stars, or 78 if you can grab those other stars in Bob-omb Battlefield, which means I had enough to ascend the final staircase, conquer Bowser in the sky, take Bowser down once again, and conclude that yes, you can beat Super Mario 64 while going in reverse star order. In total, you can beat 7 worlds completely in reverse, and 4 of them get at least halfway there. It's way tighter in the beginning, as the first floor stages change far more after the first star than the later ones. But the basement and mezzanine levels more than make up for it with how open they are, and I didn't need to collect a single secret star either. This wasn't the best way to experience Mario 64 though, because of all the 100 coin missions and required speedrunning strats, but it was interesting nonetheless. Of course, this is for the N64 version. Super Mario 64 DS adds more stars and restrictions, plus has different speedrunning tricks, and could theoretically be much different. Let me know if you want to see me tackle that one as well. I'm not sure if this challenge will work with any of the other 3D Mario games since they're more linear, but I'm happy to give it a try. And if you want to see all the other tomfoolery I do, why not click that little subscribe button and like this video, it helps out a lot. I'm GrayJ, and I'll see you some other time with more silly things.